The gavel slammed down. The cameras flashed, and Lucas Reed, a billionaire, stood alone. No lawyer, no defense, no hope. In exactly 90 seconds, a federal judge would destroy him. That's when she burst through the doors, soaking wet, breathless, a 27-year-old nobody that everyone was about to underestimate. Her name was Ava Chen. She'd never tried a federal case in her life. She had no business being there, and she was about to accuse the United States government of presenting falsified evidence. What happened next would expose a conspiracy 3 years in the making: threats, break-ins, corporate sabotage, and a revenge plot orchestrated by ghosts from a past Lucas thought he'd buried. If you're new to the channel, subscribe and tell us which country you're watching from, and don't forget to rate this story from 0 to 10. The gavel slammed down like a gunshot. "Where is your attorney, Mr. Reed?" Lucas Reed stood alone at the defense table, his jaw tight, hands pressed flat against polished wood. The courtroom buzzed with whispers, reporters leaning forward, cameras clicking, spectators craning their necks. Everyone wanted to see the tech billionaire fall. "Your Honor, I don't know." Judge Patricia Crane's eyes narrowed behind thin-framed glasses. She was 58, gray-haired, and had a reputation for burning through excuses like tissue paper. "You don't know where your lead counsel is on the first day of your federal trial?" "No, Your Honor." Across the aisle, federal prosecutor Vincent Taylor stood with his hands in his pockets, a smile tugging at his lips. He was 42, lean, and dressed like he'd just stepped out of a law school recruitment poster. This was his case, the one that would make him a household name. "Your Honor," Taylor said smoothly, "the defense has had months to prepare. If Mr. Reed's attorney has abandoned him, that's not the court's problem. I move to proceed." Judge Crane exhaled slowly. "Mr. Reed, you have exactly 2 minutes to explain why I shouldn't hold you in contempt and proceed without representation." Lucas looked toward the back of the courtroom. Nothing. His attorney, Richard Moss, had vanished. No calls, no messages, just gone. The courtroom door burst open. Every head turned. A young woman stumbled through, breathless, soaking wet from the rain outside. Her dark hair was plastered to her face, her blazer wrinkled, her briefcase clutched like a shield. She couldn't have been older than 27. "I'm here," she gasped. "I'm here for the defense." The room erupted. Judge Crane banged her gavel 3 times. "Order! Who are you?" The woman straightened, wiping rain from her face. Her eyes were wide, but steady. "Ava Chen, Your Honor. Associate Attorney with Moss and Sterling. I'm here to represent Mr. Reed." Taylor laughed, actually laughed. "Your Honor, this is absurd. She's a junior associate. She's never tried a federal case in her life." Ava's cheeks flushed, but she didn't look away. "That's correct, Your Honor. But I have evidence that the financial records submitted by the prosecution were altered after they were filed." The room went silent. Judge Crane leaned forward. "What did you just say?" "I said the evidence is compromised. And if you start this trial without examining it, this entire proceeding will be a fraud." Taylor's smile vanished. "Your Honor, this is a stalling tactic." "Approach," Judge Crane snapped. Ava walked forward on shaking legs. Lucas watched her, stunned. He'd never seen her before in his life. At the bench, Judge Crane's voice was low and sharp. "Ms. Chen, you just made a very serious accusation. Do you have proof?" Ava pulled a flash drive from her pocket. "This contains metadata from the original financial audits. The timestamps don't match what was submitted to this court. Someone doctored the records." Taylor's face went red. "Your Honor, we verified every document." "Then you won't mind if I verify them again?" Judge Crane said coldly. She looked at Ava. "You have 15 minutes to make your case. If you waste my time, I'll have you disbarred before lunch. Understood?" "Yes, Your Honor." "Court is in recess." The gavel slammed again. Ava collapsed into the chair beside Lucas. Her hands were trembling. "Who are you?" Lucas whispered. "Someone who couldn't sleep last night." She pulled out a laptop, fingers flying over the keyboard. "I was doing document review for your case. Grunt work, basically. I noticed discrepancies in the file dates, so I pulled the originals from our archive server. And someone rewrote them, then backdated the metadata to make it look legit." Lucas stared at her. "Why would you do this?" Ava stopped typing. She looked at him for the first time. Really looked at him. He was 36, sharp-featured, exhausted. The kind of person the world assumed had everything and deserved nothing. "Because I read the case," she said quietly. "And I don't think you did this. You don't even know me. I know liars. I grew up around them." She turned back to the screen. "And you're not one." Lucas didn't know what to say to that. Judge Crane returned exactly 15 minutes later. "Ms. Chen, show me what you have." Ava connected her laptop to the courtroom display. Financial spreadsheets filled the screen, columns of numbers, transaction codes, offshore accounts. "This is the original audit from Reed Technologies, submitted March 12th, Ava said. Her voice was steadier now. "Note the timestamps in the file properties. Now compare them to the version submitted as evidence by the prosecution." She clicked. A second set of documents appeared side by side. The prosecution's versions show edits made on April 6th, 3 weeks after they were supposedly finalized. That's impossible unless someone went back and changed them. Taylor shot to his feet. "Your Honor, file metadata can be corrupted during transfers." "Then explain this." Ava pulled up another screen. "These are bank records showing wire transfers from Reed Technologies to offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands, except Lucas Reed was in Tokyo on the dates these transfers were supposedly authorized. I have customs records, hotel receipts, and meeting logs that prove it." The courtroom murmured. Judge Crane studied the screen. "Mr. Taylor?" Taylor's jaw worked. "We'll need time to review." "You've had months to review. Ms. Chen found this in one night." Judge Crane closed her folder. "I'm granting a 48-hour continuance. The prosecution will verify these documents independently. Ms. Chen, you're now lead counsel for the defense." Ava's eyes went wide. "Your Honor, I don't think—" "You don't get to think. You opened this door. Now walk through it." Judge Crane stood. "Court adjourned." Outside the courtroom, Lucas caught up with Ava in the rain. "Wait!" She turned, hugging her briefcase. Water dripped from her hair. "Why did you really do this?" Lucas asked. Ava hesitated. "My father went to prison when I was 16. Fraud charges. He didn't do it, but his lawyer didn't care enough to prove it. He died inside 2 years later." She met his eyes. "I became a lawyer so that wouldn't happen to someone else." Lucas felt something crack open in his chest. "Thank you," he said quietly. Ava nodded. "Don't thank me yet. We have 2 days to figure out who framed you, and if we're wrong, we both go down." She walked away into the rain. Lucas stood there, soaked and stunned, watching her disappear. For the first time in months, he felt something close to hope. 48 hours later, the trial resumed. Ava stood at the defense table, a stack of documents in front of her. She'd barely slept. Her eyes burned, but her mind was sharp. Taylor called his first witness. "The prosecution calls Daniel Cross, former chief financial officer of Reed Technologies." A man in his 50s took the stand. Silver hair, expensive suit, the kind of face you'd trust with your retirement fund. Taylor smiled. "Mr. Cross, can you explain your role at Reed Technologies?" "I managed all financial operations, budgets, audits, transactions." "And did Mr. Reed have direct oversight of these operations?" "Yes. Every major transaction required his approval." "Including transfers to offshore accounts?" Cross hesitated, then nodded. "Yes." "So if fraudulent transfers were made, Lucas Reed would have authorized them?" Objection, Ava said, rising. Leading the witness. Sustained, Judge Crane said. Taylor didn't miss a beat. Mr. Cross, in your professional opinion, could these transfers have been made without Mr. Reed's knowledge? No. Impossible. The jury shifted. Ava saw it, doubt creeping in. Taylor sat down, satisfied. Your witness, Judge Crane said. Ava stood, her heart hammered, but her voice was steady. Mr. Cross, you said these transfers required Lucas Reed's approval. That's correct. How was that approval documented? Cross frowned. Digital signatures, standard protocol. And those signatures are unique to each user? Yes. Ava pulled up a document on the screen. This is a transfer authorization from March 18th. It shows Lucas Reed's digital signature, but according to these server logs, Lucas was locked out of the system that day due to a password reset. He couldn't have signed anything. Cross's face paled. In fact, Ava continued, there are 7 transactions during periods when Lucas Reed's account was either suspended or logged out. Someone else used his credentials. Taylor stood. Your Honor, this is speculation. It's data, Ava shot back. And it proves someone inside Reed Technologies framed my client. The courtroom exploded. Judge Crane banged her gavel. Order! Ava turned to Cross. Mr. Cross, who had administrative access to Lucas Reed's account? Cross's mouth opened and closed. Answer the question, Judge Crane said. I did, Cross whispered. The jury gasped. Taylor looked like he'd been punched. No further questions, Ava said. The recess was chaos. Reporters swarmed the hallway. Lucas pulled Ava into an empty conference room. You just destroyed their key witness. Ava leaned against the wall, shaking. That doesn't prove who actually did it. Cross could claim someone hacked his access. But you planted doubt. Doubt isn't innocence. She looked at him. We need to find who really orchestrated this, and we need to do it fast. Lucas ran a hand through his hair. What do you need? Access to your company's internal communications, emails, texts, meeting notes, everything from the last 18 months. That's tens of thousands of files. Then we better get started. They worked through the night in Ava's tiny apartment, a studio with law books stacked against every wall and instant coffee mugs crowding the desk. Lucas scrolled through emails while Ava cross-referenced financial records. This is impossible, Lucas muttered. It's like finding a needle in a... Wait. Ava looked up. What? Lucas pointed at the screen. This email. It's from an account I don't recognize, sent to Daniel Cross 6 months before the fraud started. Ava leaned over his shoulder. The email was brief. Proceed as discussed. Offshore structures in place. Reed will never see it coming. Who sent it? Ava asked. Lucas clicked on the sender profile. Someone using an encrypted relay. But look at the signature file embedded in the metadata. Ava squinted. Northbridge Capital? Lucas's face went white. What? Ava asked. Who's Northbridge? A private equity firm. They tried to buy Reed Technologies 2 years ago. I turned them down. He scrolled frantically. If they couldn't buy me out, they decided to destroy me instead. Ava grabbed her laptop. We need to trace Northbridge's ownership. If we can prove they orchestrated the fraud... Her phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen and froze. It was a photo. Her mother's house, taken from across the street. Tonight. A text appeared below it. Drop the case. Ava's hands started shaking. Lucas saw her face. What's wrong? She showed him the phone. His expression darkened. We're calling the police. And tell them what? That someone sent a photo? They'll say it's not a threat. Ava sat down hard. They know where my mom lives, Lucas. Then we move her. Tonight. And then what? They'll just find another way to... Her phone buzzed again. Another photo. This time it was Ava herself, walking into the courthouse that morning. The text. Last warning. Lucas stood. We're going to the FBI. They won't help. Not without proof these threats are connected to the case. Ava's voice cracked. Maybe I should step down. Get you a real lawyer who... Stop. Lucas knelt in front of her. You're the only person who's believed me. The only person who's fought for the truth. I won't let you walk away because someone's trying to scare you. I'm not scared for me, Ava whispered. I'm scared for my mom. Then we protect her, and we finish this. Ava looked at him, this man she'd barely known 3 days ago, who was risking everything on her gamble. Okay, she said finally. But we do this smart. The next morning, Ava arrived at court with a police escort. Her mother was staying with a friend 2 states away. Taylor approached her in the hallway, his expression cold. You're playing a dangerous game, Ms. Chen. Is that a threat, Mr. Taylor? It's a fact. You're in over your head. Then it should be easy for you to beat me. His smile was thin. We'll see. Inside the courtroom, Ava called her first witness. The defense calls Marcus Lin, forensic accountant. A man in his 30s took the stand. Glasses, rumpled shirt, the look of someone who lived in spreadsheets. Mr. Lin, Ava said, you reviewed the financial records in this case. What did you find? Multiple inconsistencies, transactions that don't match up with Reed Technologies' standard protocols. Shell companies used to obscure fund movements. Shell companies? Yes. Entities with no real business operations. Used to hide money trails. And who controls these shell companies? Marcus pulled up a chart. They all trace back to a parent corporation called Northbridge Capital. The courtroom buzzed. Taylor stood. Your Honor, this is Sit down, Mr. Taylor, Judge Crane said sharply. Ava continued. Mr. Lin, what is Northbridge Capital's connection to this case? Northbridge attempted a hostile takeover of Reed Technologies 2 years ago. When that failed, they apparently decided to destroy the company from within. Marcus pointed to the screen. These transactions were designed to look like internal fraud, but the money never actually left the Northbridge network. It was moved, hidden, then discovered to frame Mr. Reed. Ava turned to the jury. Ladies and gentlemen, this wasn't fraud. It was corporate sabotage. Taylor shot to his feet. Your Honor, this is conspiracy theory nonsense. The courtroom doors opened. 2 federal agents walked in, followed by a woman in a sharp suit. Judge Crane frowned. What's the meaning of this? The woman stepped forward. Agent Sarah Kim, FBI. Your Honor, we've been investigating Northbridge Capital for securities fraud. Based on evidence that came to light this week, we're expanding that investigation to include this case. Taylor's face drained of color. Agent Kim continued. We have warrants for Daniel Cross and 3 executives at Northbridge Capital. We believe they conspired to frame Lucas Reed as part of a scheme to acquire his company through forced bankruptcy. The courtroom exploded. Judge Crane banged her gavel. Order! Mr. Taylor, did you know about this? Taylor stammered. Your Honor, I prosecuted this case in good faith. Save it, Judge Crane snapped. She turned to Agent Kim. Agent, I assume you'll need time to execute these warrants. Yes, Your Honor. Then this trial is suspended, pending federal investigation. She looked at Lucas. Mr. Reed, you're free to go. Charges dismissed without prejudice. The gavel slammed one final time. Outside, Ava stood in the sunlight, barely able to process what had just happened. Lucas appeared beside her. You did it, he said quietly. We did it. She looked at him. I still can't believe it's over. It's not over. There's going to be appeals, investigations, media, circuses. He paused. But I'm free, and that's because of you. Ava felt tears prick her eyes. She blinked them back. What happens now? She asked. Lucas smiled. the first real smile she'd seen from him. I rebuild, with people I can trust. That's a short list. I know. That's why I want you on it. Ava blinked. What? Reed Technologies needs a new general counsel. Someone who's not afraid to fight. Someone who actually gives a damn about the truth. He extended his hand. Interested? Ava stared at his hand, then at his face. She thought about her father, about the lawyer who hadn't cared, about every moment in the last week she'd wanted to quit, but didn't. She shook his hand. I'm interested. 6 months later. Ava sat in her new office, 20th floor, corner view, her name on the door. It still felt surreal. Lucas knocked and entered carrying 2 coffees. Staff meeting in 10, he said, handing her a cup. Thanks. She glanced at the news on her screen. Northbridge execs got 15 years each. Good. Daniel Cross took a plea deal. 5 years. Lucas sat on the edge of her desk. You ever regret it? Taking the case? Ava thought about the threats, the sleepless nights, the fear. No, she said finally. I regret nothing. He smiled. Good. Because I need you to look at something. What? A lawsuit. Small biotech company says we stole their research. It's nonsense. But they've got a slick lawyer and a sympathetic story. Ava groaned. Already? Welcome to the big leagues, counselor. She laughed, and it felt good, easy, genuine. Lucas stood. By the way, there's something else. What? He hesitated, then pulled an envelope from his pocket. The judge sent this. I thought you should have it. Ava opened it. Inside was a letter on official court stationery. Ms. Chen. In 30 years on the bench, I've seen many attorneys. Few impressed me. You did. Your courage, integrity, and commitment to justice reflect the best of this profession. Never lose that. Judge Patricia Crane. Ava's throat tightened. She doesn't write those often, Lucas said quietly. Ava folded the letter carefully and tucked it into her desk drawer. Come on, Lucas said. Meeting. They walked down the hallway together. 2 people who'd nearly lost everything and somehow found their way through. In the conference room, the legal team waited. Young faces, nervous energy, the same hunger Ava had felt walking into that courtroom 6 months ago. All right, Ava said, taking her seat. Let's get to work. And for the first time in a long time, she felt exactly where she belonged. A year later, Ava stood in the same courtroom where it all began. This time, she was here for someone else, a young public defender handling an impossible case. The defendant was a single mother accused of embezzlement. The evidence looked damning. The prosecutor was confident. But Ava had read the file. She'd seen the discrepancies. During recess, she approached the young attorney in the hallway. You're going to lose if you keep arguing the facts, Ava said. The woman blinked. Who are you? Someone who's been where you are. Ava handed her a flash drive. These are the original financial records. Compare them to what the prosecution submitted. You'll find alterations. How did you? Because I know what a setup looks like. Ava smiled. Don't give up. The truth is on your side. You just have to prove it. The woman stared at the flash drive, then at Ava. Thank you, she whispered. Ava squeezed her shoulder. Make it count. She walked away, past reporters, past cameras, past the noise. Outside, Lucas was waiting by the car. How'd it go? He asked. I think she'll be okay. You can't save everyone, Ava. No, she agreed, but I can try. He smiled and opened the car door. As they drove away, Ava looked back at the courthouse one last time. The truth didn't always win. Power didn't always lose. But sometimes, just sometimes, courage was enough. And that, she thought, was worth everything. 3 years later, The conference room on the 45th floor of Reed Technologies had floor-to-ceiling windows that overlooked the city. Ava stood at the head of the table, arms crossed, watching the sun set over downtown. "You're going to say no?" She turned. Lucas stood in the doorway, tablet in hand, that look on his face, the one that meant he was about to ask for something impossible. "I haven't heard the question yet." "Meridian Pharmaceuticals wants to acquire our biotech division." Ava's eyebrows shot up. "Meridian? The company that's been accused of price-gouging cancer drugs?" "The same." "Absolutely not." Lucas stepped inside and closed the door. "They're offering $800 million. "I don't care if they're offering $8 billion. Meridian is everything we swore we wouldn't become." Ava moved to the window. "Remember what you said when you asked me to be general counsel? You wanted people who cared about the truth. Meridian doesn't care about truth. They care about profit margins and shareholder returns. I know their reputation." "Then you know this deal would destroy everything we rebuilt." Lucas set the tablet down. "What if I told you there's more to it?" Ava turned slowly. "What do you mean?" "I've been getting calls. Anonymous. Threatening." He pulled out his phone and showed her a text message. "Reject the Meridian offer, and we'll make sure Reed Technologies never recovers. You've been warned." Ava's blood went cold. "When did this start?" 2 weeks ago, right after Meridian made their initial approach. "Have you told the police?" "And say what? That I'm getting cryptic texts?" "They'll tell me to change my number." Lucas rubbed his face. "Ava, I think someone's trying to force this acquisition. Either we sell to Meridian or they'll manufacture another crisis." Ava's mind raced. "It's Northbridge all over again." "Maybe. Or maybe it's someone new. Either way, we need to figure out who's behind it before they make good on their threats. We need help. Real help." Ava pulled out her phone. "I'm calling Agent Kim." "Already did?" "She said, unless there's evidence of an actual crime, the FBI can't get involved." "Of course she did." Ava paced. "Okay, we do this ourselves, quietly. We dig into Meridian's ownership structure, find out who's really pushing this deal." Lucas nodded. "I'll have our IT team pull everything they can. And I'll reach out to some contacts. People who know how to find information that doesn't want to be found." She looked at him. "But Lucas, if this gets dangerous—" "I know. We shut it down. I'm serious. I'm not losing you to corporate gangsters." Something flickered in Lucas's eyes. Gratitude, maybe something more. "Same goes for you." Ava's contact was a woman named Jordan Hayes, 32, former investigative journalist, now running a small firm that specialized in corporate intelligence. They met at a coffee shop far from downtown, away from cameras and curious eyes. Jordan slid a folder across the table. "Meridian Pharmaceuticals, family-owned, technically, but the family hasn't been involved in operations for years. Real control belongs to a private equity consortium. Let me guess. Shell companies and offshore accounts. Worse. The consortium has ties to 3 different companies that have been investigated for market manipulation, insider trading, and fraud. None of the investigations stuck, but the pattern's clear." Ava opened the folder. Names, corporations, flowcharts showing money moving through a dozen entities. "How does this connect to the threats against Lucas?" Jordan pulled out her laptop. "I did some digging into the threats themselves. The texts came from burner phones, but they were all activated in the same neighborhood, downtown east, near the financial district, where Meridian's regional office is located." "Exactly." Jordan turned the screen. "But here's where it gets interesting. 3 months ago, Meridian quietly acquired a controlling stake in a shell company called Apex Ventures. And Apex Ventures owns 15% of Reed Technologies." Ava's stomach dropped. "They're already inside." And if they can pressure Lucas into selling the biotech division, they'll have majority control of the entire company within a year. How? Jordan pulled up another document. Meridian's offer includes stock options that would give them board seats. Once they're on the board, they can push for more acquisitions, more consolidation. Eventually, Reed Technologies becomes a Meridian subsidiary. Ava leaned back, mind spinning. Lucas would never agree to that. Unless they make him. Jordan's expression was grim. These people don't play fair, Ava. If threats don't work, they'll escalate. To what? Anything that gets results. Ava returned to the office after midnight. The building was empty. Security lights casting long shadows. She took the elevator to her floor, exhausted and wired at the same time. The elevator doors opened. Her office light was on. Ava's heart hammered. She definitely turned it off. She moved quietly down the hallway, pulled out her phone, finger hovering over 911. Her office door was ajar. She pushed it open. Lucas sat at her desk, staring at her computer screen. Jesus, Lucas! Ava sagged against the doorframe. You almost gave me a heart attack. He didn't look up. You need to see this. Ava crossed the room. Her email was open, inbox displayed. A new message sat at the top sent 15 minutes ago. Subject line, final warning. She clicked. The email contained a single attachment, a video file. Lucas played it. The footage was grainy, shot from a distance. It showed Ava's apartment building, then it zoomed in on her front door. A figure in dark clothes appeared, tried the handle, then walked away. The timestamp. Tonight, 1 hour ago. Ava's hands went numb. I'm calling the police, Lucas said, already reaching for his phone. Wait. Ava's voice was steadier than she felt. If we call the police, this becomes public. Media gets involved, stock prices tank, and Meridian uses the chaos to force the acquisition anyway. I don't care about stock prices. Someone just tried to break into your apartment. They didn't break in. They wanted to scare me. Ava rewound the video. Look, the person doesn't actually try to break the lock. They jiggle the handle, then leave. This is intimidation, not an actual threat. Ava, I'm not saying we do nothing. I'm saying we do this smart. She closed the laptop. We set a trap. Lucas stared at her. What kind of trap? We accept Meridian's offer. Publicly. Make them think they won. That's insane. And while they think we're negotiating terms, we gather evidence. Record everything. Document every communication. Find proof that they threatened us into the deal. Ava's mind was already working through the angles. Once we have enough, we go to the FBI with a case they can't ignore. Lucas was quiet for a long moment. And if it doesn't work, then we burn it all down and start over. She met his eyes. But I'm not letting them win. Not again. The press conference happened 3 days later. Lucas stood at a podium, cameras flashing, reporters shouting questions. Ava stood to his right, expressionless. Reed Technologies is pleased to announce a strategic partnership with Meridian Pharmaceuticals, Lucas said, reading from prepared remarks. This acquisition of our biotech division will allow us to expand our research capabilities and bring life-saving treatments to market faster. The reporters exploded with questions. Mr. Reed, is this related to your recent legal troubles? Are you concerned about Meridian's reputation? What does this mean for employees in the biotech division? Lucas answered each question with practiced calm. Ava watched the crowd, looking for reactions, anything that might reveal who was really pulling the strings. Then she saw him. Back row, expensive suit, watching Lucas with a satisfied smile. Ava leaned toward Lucas and whispered, "Gray suit. Back left. You know him?" Lucas glanced over, and his expression hardened. "That's Ethan Cole. He's on Meridian's executive board. After the conference, Ava cornered Jordan Hayes in the parking garage. Ethan Cole, what do you have on him? Jordan pulled out her phone, scrolled. Plenty. He's Meridian's VP of Acquisitions. Been with the company 8 years. Before that, he worked for... She stopped. Oh, hell. What? Before Meridian, Cole worked for Northbridge Capital. Ava felt ice run down her spine. The same Northbridge that tried to destroy Lucas 3 years ago? The very same. He was a junior analyst back then, but he left right before the FBI investigation started. Jordan looked up. Ava, I think this whole thing is revenge. Revenge for what? For winning. For exposing Northbridge. For destroying their operation. Jordan's voice was urgent. Ethan Cole probably lost everything when Northbridge collapsed. Career prospects, money, reputation. Now he's back, using Meridian as cover. Ava's mind raced. We need proof he's behind the threats. I'm working on it. But Ava, if I'm right, he's not going to stop with intimidation. Then we need to move faster. The due diligence meetings started the next week. Meridian's lawyers, accountants, and executives descended on Reed Technologies, demanding access to files, systems, personnel records. Ava watched it all, taking notes, recording conversations when she could. Ethan Cole attended every meeting, always watching, always smiling. During a break, he approached her in the hallway. Ms. Chen, I've heard a lot about you. Ava kept her expression neutral. Have you? The young lawyer who saved Lucas Reed. Very impressive. His smile didn't reach his eyes. Must have been quite the challenge going up against the federal government. I don't scare easily. Clearly, he stepped closer. But you should know, Reed, Technologies needs this acquisition. Without Meridian's resources, you'll be bankrupt within 2 years. Is that a threat or a projection? It's reality. The market's changing. You can't compete alone. We'll see. Ethan's smile widened. Yes, we will. That night, Ava met Jordan at the same coffee shop. Jordan slid a flash drive across the table. Got him. What is it? Audio recordings. Ethan Cole on the phone with someone discussing pressure tactics and accelerating the timeline. He mentions Reed Technologies by name. Ava grabbed the drive. Is it enough for the FBI? Maybe. But there's more. Jordan pulled out another file. I traced the burner phones used to send the threats. They were purchased with a corporate credit card belonging to a shell company called Sentinel Strategies. And guess who's on Sentinel's board? Ethan Cole. And 3 other Meridian executives. Jordan leaned forward. Ava, this is a coordinated campaign. Cole's been planning this for years. Ava felt fury and relief collide. We take this to Agent Kim. Tonight. The FBI field office was cold and fluorescent lit. Agent Sarah Kim listened to the recordings, reviewed the documents, her expression unreadable. Finally, she looked up. This is good work, but it's not enough for arrests. What? Ava couldn't believe it. He's on tape discussing illegal pressure tactics. He never explicitly mentions threats. A defense attorney would argue he was discussing normal business negotiations. Kim's voice was firm, but not unkind. I believe you, but I need ironclad evidence to move on a company like Meridian. Lucas leaned forward. What would be ironclad? Proof of a crime in progress, recorded threats, financial records showing payments for illegal activities. Kim tapped the file. This shows intent. Maybe conspiracy, but it doesn't show action. Ava exchanged a look with Lucas. Then we get you action? Ava said. The plan was dangerous and probably illegal. Ava wore a wire, a tiny microphone hidden in her necklace. Lucas waited in a car 2 blocks away, listening through an earpiece. Jordan monitored from her office. Agent Kim had reluctantly agreed to be on standby, ready to move if they got what they needed. Ava walked into the downtown restaurant where she'd arranged to meet Ethan Cole. He sat at a corner table, wine already poured. "Ms. Chen, I was surprised by your call." Ava sat down, heart pounding. "I wanted to talk. Off the record." "Oh?" Ethan sipped his wine. "About what?" "About ending this charade." Ava leaned forward. "I know you're behind the threats, the break-in attempt at my apartment, all of it." Ethan's smile never wavered. "That's quite an accusation." "I have proof." "Do you?" He set down his glass. "Because from where I'm sitting, you have nothing. Anonymous texts, a grainy video, some corporate connections. None of it proves anything." "Then why are we having this conversation?" Ethan leaned back, studying her. "You're smart, Ava. Smarter than Lucas deserves. So here's the truth. Yes, I've been encouraging Reed to accept our offer. And yes, I've used aggressive tactics. But everything I've done is perfectly legal. Threatening someone isn't legal. I haven't threatened anyone. I've simply made the consequences of refusing very clear." His voice dropped. "Reed, Technologies is bleeding money. Your stock is down 18%. Investors are nervous. One more bad quarter and you collapse anyway. I'm offering Lucas a lifeline. If he's too proud to take it, that's his problem. And if we keep refusing," Ethan's expression hardened, "then things get worse. Not because I'll do anything illegal, I won't need to. The market will do it for me. Rumors of instability, investor confidence drops, key employees leave. It's not a threat, Ava. It's inevitability." In the car, Lucas clenched his fists. "He's admitting to market manipulation." Jordan's voice came through the earpiece. "Keep him talking, Ava. Get him to name names." Ava kept her voice steady. "Who else is involved? Just you? Or is this coming from higher up at Meridian?" Ethan laughed. "You think I'd tell you that? Please, I didn't get this far by being stupid." "No. You got this far by working for Northbridge Capital before they imploded." Ethan's smile vanished. "Careful, Ms. Chen." "Hit a nerve?" Ava pressed. "Is that what this is about? Revenge? Because Lucas exposed your old bosses?" "My old bosses were idiots who got caught. I learned from their mistakes." He stood up. "Enjoy your evening, Miss Chen, and give my regards to Lucas. Tell him the clock's ticking." He walked out. Ava sat there, trembling with adrenaline. Lucas's voice crackled in her ear. "Ava, get out of there! Now!" She left cash on the table and hurried outside. Lucas pulled up in the car, and she jumped in. "Did we get enough?" she asked. Jordan's voice. "He admitted to aggressive tactics and implied market manipulation. It's something, but—" Agent Kim's voice cut in, sharp. "We've got him. Not for the threats. He's too careful. But market manipulation is SEC territory, and they'll move fast. I'm making calls now." Ava sagged in her seat, relief flooding through her. Lucas reached over and squeezed her hand. "It's over." "Not yet," Ava said. "But soon." 2 months later. The SEC investigation moved like wildfire. Ethan Cole was arrested for securities fraud and market manipulation. 3 other Meridian executives were implicated. The acquisition fell apart. Reed Technologies' stock recovered. Lucas restructured the company with an emphasis on transparency and ethics. The biotech division stayed independent. Ava stood in her office packing boxes. Her resignation letter sat on Lucas's desk. He appeared in the doorway. "You're really leaving?" "I am." "To start your own firm? To help people who can't afford lawyers like me?" She smiled. "It's what I should have been doing all along." Lucas stepped inside. "I could offer you more money, better title, whatever you want." "I know, but this isn't about money." "Then what's it about?" Ava met his eyes. "It's about not forgetting where I came from." My father died in prison because he didn't have someone who'd fight for him. I can't bring him back, but I can fight for people like him. Lucas was quiet for a moment. Then he said, I'm going to miss you. I'll only be across town, and you can always call. It won't be the same. No, Ava agreed softly. It won't. They stood there, the weight of 3 years between them, battles fought, victories earned, trust built brick by careful brick. Lucas extended his hand. Thank you for everything. Ava shook it, then pulled him into a hug. Thank you for taking a chance on a junior associate who had no idea what she was doing. You always knew exactly what you were doing. 1 year. The Chen Legal Clinic operated out of a converted storefront in the Riverside district. The walls were painted pale blue, the furniture was second-hand, and the waiting room was always full. Ava sat across from her latest client, a young woman accused of stealing from her employer. The evidence looked damning. The public defender was overwhelmed. But Ava had read the file. She'd seen the patterns. Tell me about your supervisor, Ava said. The woman's eyes filled with tears. He always made me uncomfortable. Inappropriate comments, touching my shoulder. I reported it to HR twice. And what happened? Nothing. Then suddenly I'm being accused of theft. Ava made notes. I'm going to need those HR reports and access to your work computer. Why? Because I think someone's framing you. Ava looked up. And I'm going to prove it. The woman stared at her, hope and disbelief warring on her face. How much will this cost? You don't have to worry about that. I take cases based on merit, not money. The woman started crying. Thank you. That evening, Ava was locking up when a familiar car pulled up. Lucas got out, holding 2 coffees. You're working late, he said. New case. Complicated. Ava took the coffee gratefully. What brings you here? Wanted to see the operation. Make sure you're not running yourself into the ground. I'm fine. Lucas glanced at the clinic. How many cases are you handling? 17. Ava, I have help. 2 paralegals and a law student intern. We manage. Barely, I'd guess. He smiled. You're going to need more funding. Probably. But funding means donors, and donors means compromises. What if the donor didn't want anything in return? Ava looked at him. Lucas, Reed Technologies is launching a legal assistance fund, $1 million a year distributed to independent clinics that provide free legal services. He held up a hand before she could protest. No strings, no influence, just support for people doing work that matters. Ava felt her throat tighten. You don't have to do this. I know. I want to. He met her eyes. You taught me something, Ava. Truth matters, justice matters, and people who fight for those things deserve support. Ava smiled. You've changed. So have you. You're even more stubborn now. She laughed. I learned from the best. They stood there as night fell over the city. 2 people who'd started as strangers and become something more complex and necessary than either had expected. Dinner sometime? Lucas asked. As friends? As friends, he confirmed. Though if you ever want it to be more... Lucas, just putting it out there. Ava shook her head, smiling. Dinner sounds good. As friends. I'll take it. Inside the clinic, Ava's intern had left a note on her desk. New client called. Says her case is impossible. Sounds familiar? Ava read the note and smiled. Impossible cases were her specialty now. She pulled out the file on the young woman accused of theft, reviewed the evidence again, started building her strategy. Outside, the city lights flickered on one by one, thousands of stories, thousands of battles, countless people who needed someone in their corner. Ava Chen had found her calling, and she was just getting started. Ava thought the fight was over. She was wrong. Because the text that lit up her phone at 2 a.m. didn't come from a client or a colleague. It came from Lucas. 3 words. They took her. And attached. A photo of her mother bound and blindfolded. Today's newspaper visible in the frame. The past wasn't done with them. Not even close. Ava's hands shook as she dialed Lucas. He answered on the first ring. "Don't call the police," he said immediately. They were very clear about that. "Who's they? What the hell is happening?" "I don't know." The message came through an encrypted app. "They want something, Ava, and they're using your mother to get it." Ava was already grabbing her keys, her jacket, her laptop. "I'm coming to you now." "Ava, listen." "No. You listen. Nobody threatens my family. Nobody." Her voice cracked. "I'll be there in 10 minutes." She hung up and ran. Lucas's penthouse was dark except for his laptop screen. Ava burst through the door. He'd given her a key months ago, though neither of them had acknowledged what that meant. "Show me everything," she demanded. Lucas pulled up the encrypted message. The instructions were simple and terrifying. "You destroyed Northbridge. You destroyed Meridian. Now you'll pay the price. Ava Chen will resign from her clinic, publicly discredit Lucas Reed, and disappear. Lucas Reed will sell Reed Technologies and retire. You have 48 hours. Proof of compliance required. If you contact authorities, Margaret Chen dies. We're watching." Beneath it, a live video feed showing Ava's mother in what looked like a basement. Concrete walls, single light bulb, her hands zip-tied to a metal chair. Ava's knees buckled. Lucas caught her. "She's alive," he said firmly. "That means we have time." "Time for what?" "They want us to destroy everything we've built. Then we give them what they want." Ava pulled away. "What?" "We pretend to comply. Buy ourselves time. To find her." Lucas was already typing. "Jordan's on her way. She's bringing someone who can trace the video feed. That could take days. We don't have days. So we work faster." Jordan arrived 20 minutes later with a man in his early 30s, hoodie, multiple laptops, the unmistakable look of someone who lived online. "This is Felix Wu," Jordan said, "best digital forensics specialist in the state." Felix barely looked up from setting up his equipment. "Show me the feed." Lucas pulled it up. Felix studied it, fingers flying across his keyboard. "They're using a VPN and proxy servers, bouncing the signal through 6 countries. Smart." He zoomed in on the video. "But not smart enough. See this?" He pointed to a tiny reflection in a water pipe visible in the corner of the frame. "That's a window, and that window has a specific type of security grating, the kind used in commercial buildings constructed between 2008 and 2012 in this region." "Can you narrow it down?" Ava asked. "Give me an hour." "You have 30 minutes, Ava said. Felix looked at her, and then at the determination in her eyes. "I'll make it work." While Felix worked, Jordan pulled Ava aside. "There's something you need to know. I did some digging after the Meridian case closed. Ethan Cole had a partner, someone who helped him set up the whole operation." "Who?" "We never found out. The SEC investigation focused on Cole and the Meridian executives. But there were encrypted communications we couldn't crack. Someone else was involved, someone with serious resources and a major grudge." Ava's stomach turned. "And you think that's who has my mother?" "I think whoever it is has been planning this since Cole got arrested. They've had 2 months to watch, to learn your patterns, to find your weak spot." "My mother." "Your mother." Lucas appeared. Felix found something. They gathered around his laptop. A map filled the screen, 3 locations marked in red. These are the only buildings in the metropolitan area that match the construction profile and have basement facilities, Felix pointed. This one's a condemned factory. This one's an office complex. This one's a warehouse that was seized by the city last year for back taxes. The warehouse, Ava said immediately. It's isolated, abandoned, perfect for keeping someone hidden. How do you know? Lucas asked. Because it's what I'd choose. Ava grabbed her jacket. We're going. Ava, we need a plan. The plan is simple. We get my mother out. Jordan stood. I'm coming with you. No. You're staying here as backup. If this goes wrong, someone needs to know where we are. Lucas was already at the door. Then let's not let it go wrong. The warehouse was exactly as Ava had imagined. Hulking, dark, surrounded by chain-link fence and overgrown weeds. They parked 2 blocks away and approached on foot. There, Lucas whispered, pointing to a side entrance where the padlock had been recently cut. They moved silently inside. The warehouse was massive, filled with rusted equipment and shadows. Ava's heart hammered so loud she was sure everyone could hear it. Then, voices, coming from below. They found stairs leading to a basement level. Ava started down, but Lucas grabbed her arm. Wait, we don't know how many people are down there. I don't care. I do. We do this smart or we don't do it at all. Ava wanted to scream, to run, to tear the place apart. But Lucas was right. They descended slowly, carefully. The basement was lit by a single bulb, exactly like in the video. And there, in the center of the room, was Ava's mother, alone. Ava ran to her, fumbling with the zip ties. Mom, can you hear me? Her mother's eyes opened. Ava, I'm here. I've got you. Lucas kept watch at the stairs. Ava, hurry! She got the ties off. Her mother collapsed into her arms. It's okay. You're safe now. Ava. Her mother's voice was weak. It's a trap. The lights went out. Ava heard Lucas shout, then footsteps, multiple people, moving fast. Run! Lucas yelled. Ava pulled her mother toward the stairs, but a figure blocked their path. In the dim emergency lighting, she saw him clearly. Richard Moss, her old boss, Lucas's original attorney, the man who disappeared the day of the trial 3 years ago. Hello, Ava, he said calmly. I wondered when you'd figure it out. Ava's mind reeled. You? This whole time? Surprised? You shouldn't be. You destroyed my career, my reputation, my life. I spent 3 years rebuilding, planning, waiting for the perfect moment, he smiled. And here we are. Lucas appeared beside Ava, breathing hard. Richard, this is insane. Insane? You let a junior associate take over a federal case. You embarrassed me in front of the entire legal community. I lost everything. His voice turned cold. So now you'll lose everything too. 2 men emerged from the shadows, hired muscle, clearly armed. Here's what's going to happen, Richard continued. Ava will record a statement confessing that she fabricated evidence in your original trial. You'll be rearrested, your company will collapse, and she'll spend the next decade in prison for fraud. And if we refuse? Ava asked. Richard pulled out a phone. Then your mother dies, and I release documents to the media showing that Reed Technologies has been engaged in securities fraud, documents I've been carefully creating for months. Either way, you lose. Ava looked at Lucas, at her mother, at the impossible choice. Then she smiled. You made one mistake, Richard. Oh, what's that? You assumed we came alone. The warehouse exploded with light. FBI agents poured in from every entrance, weapons drawn. Agent Kim appeared, badge held high. Richard Moss, you're under arrest for kidnapping, extortion, and conspiracy. Richard's face went white. How? You really think we'd walk into this blind? Lucas held up his phone. We've been streaming everything to the FBI since we entered the building. They heard your whole confession. Felix's voice crackled through Ava's earpiece. Got it all recorded, crystal clear. Richard lunged for Ava, but Lucas stepped between them. One of the agents tackled Richard to the ground. It's over, Ava said quietly. Finally. 1 week later, Ava's mother sat in her living room, blanket wrapped around her shoulders, cup of tea cooling on the table. She looked tired but unharmed. I still can't believe it was Richard Moss, she said. I thought he was your friend. He was my boss. That's different. Ava sat beside her. Mom, I'm so sorry you got dragged into this. Her mother took her hand. You saved me. That's all that matters. But if I hadn't... Stop. You can't live your life on what-ifs. Her mother smiled. Your father would be so proud of you. I'm proud of you. Ava felt tears sting her eyes. I miss him. I know. But he's here. In everything you do, every person you help, every fight you win. She squeezed Ava's hand. You became the lawyer he needed. That's his legacy. At Reed Technologies, Lucas stood at his office window, watching the city wake up. Agent Kim had called an hour ago with an update. Richard Moss was cooperating, giving up names of others involved in his scheme. 3 more arrests were expected by end of week. It was really over this time. His office door opened. Ava walked in, 2 coffees in hand. Thought you might need this, she said. You read my mind. He took the cup. How's your mother? Stronger than I am, apparently. She's already planning to visit my clinic next week. Lucas smiled. Sounds like her. They stood together at the window, comfortable in the silence. Finally, Lucas said, I've been thinking. Dangerous. I'm serious. He turned to face her. What happened with Richard? It made me realize something. We keep ending up in these impossible situations together. Your point? My point is, maybe we should stop pretending it's just friendship. Ava's breath caught. Lucas, I'm not asking for an answer now. I'm just saying, when you're ready, if you're ever ready, I'll be here. Ava looked at him. This man who'd trusted her when no one else would, who'd stood beside her through everything. I'm terrified, she admitted. Of what? Of losing this. Of ruining what we have by wanting more. Lucas smiled. You face down federal prosecutors, corporate conspiracies, and kidnappers. You really think a relationship is scarier than all that? Yes, because those things I can fight. This, she gestured between them. This matters more. Then let's take it slow. Dinner. Actual dates. See what happens. Ava felt herself smile. Okay. 6 months later. The Chen Legal Clinic had expanded to 3 locations. Ava stood at the opening ceremony for the newest office, ribbon-cutting scissors in hand, surrounded by clients, staff, and supporters. Lucas stood in the back, watching her with undisguised pride. Jordan appeared beside him. You've got it bad. Is it that obvious? To everyone except possibly Ava, who seems to think you're still taking it slow. Lucas laughed. We are taking it slow. You have dinner together 4 nights a week. You're each other's emergency contact, and you just donated another $1 million to her clinic. That's not slow. That's basically married. We're not... Lucas stopped. Are we? Jordan grinned. Figure it out, genius. That evening, Ava and Lucas had dinner at the small Italian place that had become their spot. Big day, Lucas said, raising his glass. 3 clinics in 6 months. You're building an empire. A very scrappy, underfunded empire. But Ava was smiling. Though the recent donation helped. Glad I could contribute. They ate in comfortable silence until Lucas said, I have something for you. He pulled out a small box. Ava's eyes widened. Lucas, it's not what you think. Well, not exactly. He opened the box. Inside was a key. It's to my place. Official this time. Not just for emergencies. Ava stared at the key. You want me to move in? I want you to have the option. No pressure. But Ava, we've been doing this dance for 6 months, and I think we both know where it's heading. And where's that? Lucas took her hand. Somewhere permanent. Somewhere real. With someone who makes me want to be better every single day. Ava felt her throat tighten. I'm scared. I know. So am I. But I'm more scared of not trying. She looked at the key, at Lucas, at the life they'd built separately, and were now building together. Okay, she said finally. Okay, you'll take the key? Okay to all of it. The key, the relationship, the terrifying permanent realness of it. Lucas smiled, that genuine, unguarded smile she'd first seen years ago outside a courthouse in the rain. Then let's be terrified together. Ava laughed and kissed him and took the key.